welcome to America's first public beach as we begin to celebrate and kick off the 126th anniversary of our beloved Revere Beach. My name is Ricky Cerino, and I'm a Revere City Councilor. I represent Ward 6, which is the other side of the city. But tonight we're joined by Ward 2 City Councilor Ira Novoselsky, State Representative Jessica Genino, Mr. Jeff Pearlman, and State Representative Jeff Turco. So I'm going to kick it off, and I'm going to pass the mic off onto Representative Jeff Turco.
Thank you very much. I want to thank everyone for coming out tonight. I want to first take a moment to thank the police officers, the fire, and the EMTs that are here to keep us safe for this event. These events don't happen without the members of the Mass State Police, the Revere Police, and their comrade-in-arms from other police departments. So I thank them very much for their service and being here today. I also want to thank the members of the military that made the United States of America the greatest country in the history of the world. We wouldn't be here celebrating on this public beach today, the first public beach, without their sacrifices on a daily basis. But 126 years ago, a visionary set out and said, believe it or not, behind you on this beach were all houses, private cottages in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, took those properties by eminent domain and said, we're going to create the first public beach in the nation so that the people of this area from all walks of life can come and have a free public beach. And so, when you think of what Charles Elliott, his vision, his leadership 126 years ago to make this possible, it's truly amazing that we're here today. I thank him and his contemporaries for their leadership and their vision, and I thank you for coming to celebrate. With that, my colleague, Representative Jessica Genino.
Thank you, Rep. Hello, everyone. Good evening, and welcome to America's first public beach. My name is Jessica Genino, and I'm one of the state representatives from the City of Revere. I've lived here my entire life, and I'm so happy to call this beautiful place my home. It's wonderful because every year, a few weeks ago, we celebrated our Sandcastle Festival down here, which brings people from all over the world to Revere Beach. And tonight, it's great to have people back to celebrate the 126th anniversary of making this place America's first public beach. I want to echo the sentiments of my colleague, Rep. Turco, for thanking our public safety officials, the State Police, Revere Fire, members from the DCR that are down here, our Parks and Rec, our DPW, and everyone that made this happen. Events like this to serve the community don't happen easily. They don't happen with just one person. It takes a team, and we're really lucky to have that in the city. So it's an honor to welcome you guys as we celebrate a new group put together, the Revere Office of Travel and Tourism, that's going to host more events like this, tell you more about the City of Revere. And to do that, we have our Director of Travel and Tourism right there, Charlie Jafrida. People like Charlie behind the scenes making sure things like this happen. I'm going to talk tonight about the history of Revere Public Beach and how we got here. And to do that, there is no one better than the City of Revere's own historian, beloved resident, and a professor, longtime friend, Jeffrey Pearlman.
Thank you. You people that know me know that I could talk probably about 2 hours about Revere Beach. But don't worry, I'm not tonight. I've got a very brief talk, but it's an important one. It centers around Charles Elliott. In 1895, the Massachusetts legislature ordered the taking of nearly 3 miles of private seacoast land on what is now Revere Beach Reservation. The Metropolitan Park Commission was entrusted with the land in 1896. Charles Elliott was chosen to design Revere Beach Reservation for the, quote, best use by the public, end quote. Elliott stated in November 1896, we must not conceal from visitors the long sweep of the open beach, which is the finest thing about this reservation. Revere Beach would become, quote, the first beach to be set aside and governed by a public body for the enjoyment of the common people. Over the next year, some 300 structures, imagine some 300 structures, old buildings, were taken down on and around the beach. The train tracks, which used to run, believe it or not, along the water, was moved by Elliott some 400 yards to the west, away from the water. A boulevard was put in place to separate buildings and houses from the sand, and a bandstand and 8 pavilions were put in place also. around the turn of the century. An estimated 45,000 people showed up on opening day. Why? They wanted to enjoy the first public beach in the United States of America. Fittingly, the small rotary at the southern end of Revere Beach is named after Charles Eliot, Eliot Circle. Charles Eliot, the Harvard-educated landscape architect, unfortunately died in 1897 at the age of 37. He died of spinal meningitis. If Charles Eliot were around today, he would be amazed at what developed in the 126 years of Revere Beach. If he had lived into the 20th century, he would have perhaps enjoyed some of the wonderful dance halls that dotted Revere Beach. Beginning in the southern end, the pier that juts out, which used to be called Holt's Pier, that held a dance hall and a beautiful dining room. And many a summer night, men and women in their finest attire would walk out on that pier and dance the night away and have a sumptuous meal. In 1939, it burnt in a horrible fire. Across the street, where the Atlantic Towers was Condit's, later the Spanish Gables, and finally the Ocean View Ballroom. Once again, Paul Whiteman's band, Tommy and Jimmy Dorsey, many of the big bands would be there nightly, and people would dance. A wonderful time. As we moved down the beach, at the corner of the Boulevard and Ocean Avenue was Crescent Gardens, which later turned into the Beach View Ballroom. What was interesting about the Beach View Ballroom, ladies and gentlemen, was that it was not only a ballroom with a rooftop garden at the top, but it was also a movie theater on the Ocean Avenue side. And in the 1930s, during the Depression, 1940s even, they would give out dishes to people who would go into and watch a movie, whether it was a silent movie or a new talkie. And as we move further down, Charles Eliot, I'm sure, would have taken part in enjoying the Frolic nightclub, world-famous Frolic nightclub, down here that had as entertainment a young Barbara Streisand, the comedian Toady Fields, Dinah Washington, Jerry Vale appeared at the Frolic nightclub here on Revere Beach. It was known by everybody. The Pines Hotel down near the Point of Pines existed in the early 20th century. It had 400 rooms. Theodore Roosevelt, when he was president, gave a speech there, and William Howard Taft had a yacht that was moored right there as well. Amusements. If Charles Eliot got married and had children, maybe his children, not him, but maybe his children would have enjoyed the amusements on Revere Beach. I know I did growing up in the 50s and 60s. Bluebeard's Palace, for example. Rides such as the Virginia Reel, the Tilt-A-Whirl, the Bubble Bounce, the Whip. We had 3 roller coasters on Revere Beach at one time. Okay? The Lightning, the Thunderbolt, and of course, the Cyclone roller coaster, which existed until 1974. Everybody remembers the Cyclone roller coaster. The Wild Mouse that my father took me on, and he was more scared than I was. The Ferris wheel and the double Ferris wheel, which if you were stuck at the top, you would get such a tremendous panoramic view of the beach, especially at night. And finally, the eating establishments. Years ago, 2 of the finest eating establishments on the North Shore were right here on Revere Beach. The Paul Rogers House, and down by Cary Circle, the General Edwards Inn. Delicious meals from steak to seafood. Also, Joe and Nemo's, Howard Johnson's, Danny's, located right here at the corner of the Boulevard and Ocean Avenue. Danny's was around when I was sitting on the beach, and I remember getting a foot-long hot dog or a peppered steak. It was unbelievable. Speaking of peppered steak, the best peppered steak, anybody know where the best peppered steak was on Revere Beach? Right, Rudolph's. Let me tell you about Rudolph's. Rudolph's gave you a peppered steak on a hamburger roll. There was so much peppered steak on the hamburger roll that it fell over onto the paper plate below it. Get that today, right? Unbelievable deal. Pizza, beginning again at the southern end of the beach, Rogers Pizza, Anna's, Bill Ash's, Bianchi's. I mean, 3 or 4 or 5 different pizza places on Revere Beach. And of course, Kelly's roast beef. Again, in conclusion, Charles Elliott would be amazed today if he saw the apartments, the condominiums, restaurants like the Drift going up, and how this beach has changed unbelievably in 126 years. You know, as a personal note, my parents met here on Revere Beach. My mother grew up on Dana Street. I met my wife at the bandstand, okay, here on Revere Beach in 1970. They say history doesn't repeat itself, but I say it does. And finally, ladies and gentlemen, once more, that quote from Charles Elliott, who in 1896 said, "We must not conceal from visitors the long sweep of the open beach, which is the finest thing in this reservation." Thank you very much, and God bless you all.
Thank you so much, Mr. Pearlman. Also want to take a moment to acknowledge another elected official that joined us. We have Ben from State Senator Lydia Edwards' office, so thank you for the Senator's office for being with us today. That concludes the speaking portion of the event, and we'll get back to some fun music and entertainment.